welcome to round 2 of Division 2 here at Canada. Once again joined by Lindsay in the commentary box. Welcome.
G'day.
It's good to be back here for an exciting day of racing. We've got a sprint and a race today, so I think a total of about 47 laps will be completed today. So we're in for a long one as we are here at the beginning of qualifying.
Everyone's just waiting patiently in the garages applying their setups, but feels like a bit of an age, honestly, waiting for drivers to come out.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's actually started yet. Now it has. So only 13 in at the moment, but we are expecting a couple more to join throughout the session. And as noted before, there are no McLarens in the lobby, so no points for them today. But we do have the championship leader Vipermon, who's going to be looking to take back-to-back wins this afternoon.
Yes, I think we're
Williams
about to
team.
see Melbourne Matt come out. Yeah. It's one of the many, wait, I just forgot what I was going to say. That's awkward.
Melbourne
you
Mac
go,
coming
J-Man.
out of the pits. And he's the first to come out, and his teammate is not here today. Melbourne Mac started second on the grid last week in Australia. So he'll be looking to repeat those efforts and hopefully not have any incidents off the start as he takes us around the Canada circuit for the first time this afternoon. Just get some more volume up.
Yeah, so Melbourne Mac will just be looking to get heat in his tyres. It's a very tricky track here at Canada, but I like to call it the track chicanes because most of the corners here are just chicanes after chicanes. But it makes a very tricky prospect, especially if it were to be wet, which it luckily is not, as he's grazed the wall there coming out of the hairpin. But J-Man, as he goes down the straight, I'll leave it to you to commentate the first lap.
Alright, so Melbourne Mac still getting temperature into his tyres as he comes up to the final chicane, and it's really important to nail this to get your lap started off well, and he's done pretty nicely as all the drivers are almost out on the track now, and we are underway. Melbourne Mac going to the first corner and takes a little bit of curb on the inside there, nicely done, and makes his way through the first sector. A little bit of traffic ahead, but that shouldn't worry him too much. And now the downhill right into the left, beautiful smooth driving there, and this is looking to be a pretty solid lap early on. 19.8 in the first sector, and hopefully the AlphaTauri gets out of his way here as he moves through into the second sector here. Got the DRS wide open, and I'll tell you what, oh gee, that was a late pull out there from the AlphaTauri, just getting out of Melbourne Mac's way. Hopefully it didn't hinder him too much as we get to the hairpin here. And yes, he's done that pretty well there, Melbourne Mac, and just needs to finish it off down into the final sector here. DRS open once again, heading down to the final chicane. And we'll see what kind of time he can come up with here as he hits it. And he cuts the corner and invalidates. And that is a very common place to invalidate your lap. And it really does hurt when you invalidate there because you've worked so hard, and then one corner can just take it all away from you so easily.
Yeah, Vipermon's just started his lap through the first sector, but unfortunate for Melbourne Mac there that he was unable to complete the lap. Obviously, the track limits at Wall of Champions, just very forgiving normally, but he just cut a little bit over the orange sausage curb. But yeah, it's a Vipermon, the Williams. He's going very, very fast. He went very quickly through the first sector. It's because he does a 1:14.5. That'll be blown out of the water. I'd assume it was a lap with a mistake in it, and he just went and completed the lap to start another one. But Vipermon now coming through the final sector down the big long straight into gear 8. The run up to the Wall of Champions. He's going to break at about 75 metres, if not a little bit later, and then cut all the curb. But Vipermon fails to do that, just saving a little bit of time, making sure he gets a bank lap. And I think it's going to be provisional pole with a 1 minute 12.0. Yes, but only by a tenth.
1:12.0 to start us off here in qualifying, and Haldino goes 1:13.7. But as we've seen all it can take is just getting one lap in to get yourself a decent qualifying position. With the amount of mistakes some drivers have made, as we'll follow Beast through the no, he's invalidated. Everyone's invalidated their laps at the moment, as Not Kize is coming across the line to see what he can put up, and it is provisional pole, takes it off Vipermon with a 1:11.8, and that's a solid lap from the Alpha Tauri. And if I have a look, he's didn't score last week, so he'll be looking to make amends for that very quickly.
Yeah, but just trying to find a lap that's going on track here. I think that PS Bomber might be starting one.
Potentially, but I'm looking at Fire Strike, who did make a mistake into that hairpin coming through Sector 3 here. He's got, I think, a Ferrari on his tail as well, so he's going to have to watch out for that coming into the final chicane. And it's not looking that competitive so far, and he's gotten away with that. But I don't think it'll be worth too much here as he crosses the line and puts himself in 5th position. So plenty of room to improve from the first runs here, Lindsay.
Yeah, I think definitely. I feel like, obviously, it is Div 2, but I think some of us faster guys could even break the 1 minute 10 barrier, maybe just not a lot of grip on the track right now, early days in the qualifying session, and obviously it isn't a super important qualifying session, so people might have put on even bigger race setups because obviously you have a sprint race and then a full race, so maybe they've just gone full anti-qualifying setup and just been prepared for the sprint race.
Yeah, I think the one thing with Canada as well is, from personal experience, it does take a while to warm up to the track, and first time out it can be very difficult to nail a lap, so you could be seeing a lot of invalidated laps early on, but once they start to settle into a rhythm, they should be improving quite quickly, as in the meantime Sparks overtook Vipermon and went to 2nd place. And I believe most of the drivers will be coming into the pits here. I think Beast might be on a lap though.
I think it's hard to tell because he's out of battery, so he might just pull in, but he has the DRS open, so I guess we'll watch it to the line. It doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere near a competitive lap though, as he navigates Wall of Champions pretty well. And yeah, it's not going to be great. It's a 13.2, so it puts him P7, so not horrendous.
Yep, well, we should be expecting some faster times to come here. And most of the drivers, or all the drivers, are in the pits, except for the two that have just finished their lap, and Cozzy's coming back out for his 2nd run in the Ferrari. So, yeah.
So is Melbourne Mac, he's also out, so we're seeing some drivers coming back out now, so it should be interesting again soon enough. But what are your thoughts on Canada? It was, Cozzy just hit the wall on his outlap.
Yeah. Sorry, what was that?
What are your thoughts on Canada as a track, considering you will have to race it earlier?
Yeah,
later.
It's a hard track to handle. Last time it was raced in this league, it was in the rain, which was not
sorry
ideal.
To cut you off, but Cozzy doesn't have broke his front wing.
Oh yeah, so he'll have to come pit for that. No, he won't.
Right.
Well, we just kept going, I guess. Yeah, so it's definitely an easy track to make mistakes on, and I think definitely last time out there was a lot of corner cutting penalties. It's very easy to invalidate in this track, so that's something the drivers are going to have to navigate, and it's going to be a good challenge. And probably, I think the best driver usually comes out on top at this track. There's not too many surprises.
Yeah, I think we definitely saw that. Thinking back to season 1, obviously in the rain, Gordo was just in another league. There was me and P2, and even after there was a safety car, 5 laps to go, he got a 3-second. It should have been could have been an easy win, but just he had so much more pace and just raw skill around this track at the time, and he was able to just pull away because this track is really a driver's track. The driver can make the difference at this track.
Yeah,
and I think we'll see that today.
Just following Melbourne Mac on his hot lap in the last sector here, he did set a purple sector 1, so definitely an opportunity to take back provisional pole, it is his first lap because he invalidated on his first run, as he makes his way down to the final hairpin here. And we'll see how he ends up. Goes a little bit to the inside. That's nicely done there. And can he finish it off? And will it be good enough for the 110s? Oh, 111.0. It blows the previous lap out of the water. Fantastic driving there from Melbourne Mac. And he'll be happy with that lap time for the moment.
Yeah, I think we'll see drivers like Vipermon start to catch back up. He's actually gone purple in Sector 2 and is 6/10 up on his lap time, so Vipermon could be in the run for the 110s here, but yeah, Melbourne Mac's so close there. I thought that was the 110 barrier, but I think obviously we'll see it done in this session, but then obviously in Div 1 later will be, I think, broken quite quickly, and it should be a good watch for both divs because I think the field is so tight as Vipermon does a 111.1.
Yep, so it fell away a little bit towards the end, Vipermon, but it's still right up there and we'll have another chance to take that out. And we'll have a watch of the Haas of Zonix, I believe, who is about to start a lap. No, end a lap. He moves up to 4th position there. So good for the Haas driver there, who did have a tough outing last time in Australia, although I'm not sure where he ended in the end. I'll just have a quick look at the standings here. He came 9th in the end.
Yeah.
So a bit of traffic here for the first sector. Firestrike is on a lap, I think. It's hard to tell, but yellow flags for the sector, and he did have to lift there, so I don't believe he'll continue with that.
Bomber just about to cross the line, and the Williams probably going to do a 1:11.
Phoenix.
Yeah, P3 in the Williams.
3rd place for Phoenix there, just behind his teammate Vipermon. There's 6/10 between the top 2 and the rest of the field, so we're seeing a bit of a gap form, and this is not too dissimilar to the previous qualifying in Australia with Melbourne Mac and Vipermon dominating, and we're seeing it again today. 2 standout drivers, but Melbourne Mac definitely has some ground to make up after his incident in Australia.
Yeah, and I think also just here in Div 2, all the drivers are trying to prove that they're worth the time to get to Div 1. Obviously, may it be in a transfer window later down the line in the season, or gunning for the championship, and then next season getting up to Div 1. But they all have something to prove here. So yeah, they're all going to be pushing their hardest to do well.
So PS Bomber's on his first flying lap, but it's obvious he's out of energy, so I think he's going for his 2nd attempt here. And
yeah, I saw him invalid earlier.
Doesn't look to be overly competitive, but we'll see what he can put up as he comes into the final sector. And he's going to hit the final chicane right about now. We'll see what he can do. He takes it very carefully and he invalidates anyway. And he's only going to have one more chance at that. And he's the only driver yet to set a lap time. No DNFs, fortunately, in qualifying so far, which is good to see at this stage.
Improvements, I think. Yeah, definitely improvements, considering last week, what was it, 3 DNFs in qualifying, J-Man?
Yeah, something like that, I think. And I think just getting confidence over the season as well. A few first race nerves early on in the season. Qualifying, definitely tough to do when you're feeling a bit of pressure and when you're trying to nail all those corners.
Yeah, I think we can talk from experience after our shocking qualifying last week. It was yeah, a lot of pressure, and then yeah, I think there was quite a few drivers last week in Div 2 and Div 1 that definitely felt it. It's one of the bigger things in motorsport and just sport as a whole. If you're feeling the pressure, sometimes some drivers or some athletes, it might make them perform better, but I think the majority of the time it can get to people and stop them from performing their best, and you see it quite often.
We do say, like, there is the saying, diamonds are formed under pressure, as we have a look at Beast in the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could look at Noah, because he just started his flying lap in the Alpine.
We'll cut to that shortly, but Beast is heading through the final sector here in the Alpha, trying to improve on his current position, which is 11th. and we'll see what he can come up with as the corner that's destroyed many laps already in this qualifying, and I'm sure will destroy many more, is what Beast is coming up to, but he does get through it safely. And will he be able to make an improvement on his lap time? Looks to be only a one-place improvement, but it's an improvement nonetheless, and up into 10th place.
Yeah, so a pretty good lap from him. It was a big improvement, but just still not, still only improving one place because his previous lap just wasn't all that crash hot. But obviously the improvement's there now. If he can get in and get out quickly, it's a short track around here, Canada, so he might be able to do well. But now I'm just looking at Noah, and he hasn't had a great lap, so I don't think he'll improve on his time. He does improve it by 0.2, but doesn't move up a position.
No places gained on that occasion for Noah, as we will now be following the battle for pole position in the last couple minutes here. It'll be Vipermon versus Melbourne Mac, most likely, unless Spark or Phoenix can pull something incredible. Here, Vipermon seems to be, no, it's Phoenix furthest out, and then Vipermon. So we'll follow the Williams of Phoenix first, and then we'll see what Vipermon can do as well. Close behind him, maybe giving a bit of a tow down the straight, as we now look to what probably will be the final hot laps of qualifying, unless they go for 2. But Phoenix now coming down the chicane, and will he be able to improve on his 4th place? He's going to need a pretty good effort to get it done as he makes his way through the first sector here. And a little bit slow for the first 2 corners.
Oh, I've got bad news. Vipermon's just invalidated this and next lap through the final chicane.
So he'll have to wait another lap. He does have enough time to get around, but the tyres will not be as fresh as he would like them, so that's definitely going to impact his chances as Phoenix.
Ooh, Phoenix is invalidated.
So he'll have to wait as well, so we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Melbourne Mac will be the first one on his lap, and in fact he has started, Lindsay, if you want to take us through that.
Yeah, so the first chicane, just a tricky left and then back to the right. He runs out a bit deep to compromise and get the better exit, and now through this far chicane you want to cut just a little bit of the inside without invalidating, going down to gear 4 and then flat out through this right-hander. There's a controversial moment in F1 esports there, as now back to the left and then back to the right. As I said, it's a circuit of chicanes, and you're definitely seeing it here. The first complex is all chicanes, and then now he's going to run up to another chicane and braking just underneath the bridge and to the right, using all of the curb. Don't get the car loose, it's very easy. There's not a lot of grip on that left side curb, but you need to use it. As now in the hairpin, braking just after 100 metres at around 80 metres. He runs out a bit deep, but he's going to cut back almost like a switchback manoeuvre on a qualifying lap and get the powerful exit, as he's now going to run down the back straight, opening up the DRS in the DRS zone for the run up to Wall of Champions. If he doesn't invalidate here, it looks like he's on for a bit of a gold lap here, as braking just at about 75 metres, cuts the inside, cuts the left, and he's just used the track to absolute perfection. Will it be a 109? No.
Oh, he's improved a little bit.
I mean 110, sorry, I went a 110. He has done a 110, he's done a 110.9, so we've seen...
And he's retired in the meantime.
Yeah, so now one person into the 110s. Don't know why I said 109, but...
We will see if Vipermon can respond. Qualifying is now over. Kize moved up into 3rd, and Sparks, I believe, is on a lap to try and combat that. No, he hasn't improved. So now Vipermon is up 2/10 on his time, so it doesn't look likely at this stage. But can he pull something special out of the final sector here, or will he have to remain in P2 and try and get past in the sprint as he makes his way down to the final chicane? Can he do something special here, Vipermon? It's a good last corner. What can he put up here? I don't think it's going to be good enough, no. And no improvement there for Vipermon. And Melbourne Mac is going to have pole position going into the sprint race here. And that gives him a massive opportunity to win and get big points here today for Red Bull.
Yeah, obviously being a sprint, you can get the 8 points for P1 and the sprinter is at 12 points, something like that. And then you can also then go get 26 points if you get fastest lap in the main race. So yeah, it could be a massive haul for Red Bull, but there is still Vipermon chomping at his heels for the sprint and the feature race, so it'll be exciting.
Yep, so as we have a look down the order here, Melbourne Mac leading, Vipermon second, Not Kize in third, Spark in fourth, followed by Phoenix and Milan. And that's the top six, and the other drivers didn't really put anything too competitive up on the board. And it's going to be an intriguing sprint race, and we'll see what happens between the battle with Melbourne Mac and Vipermon. Obviously, with the sprint race, big points can be made up. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, should be very, very, very interesting there. The fight, the battle of the Titans will continue through round 2, and I think it'll be a theme throughout the season. But yeah, who will come out on top today is the question we're all asking.
So if we take a quick look at the standings at the moment, Vipermon obviously leading after his win. Melbourne Mac is down in 7th with just the 6 points. And competitors, Kize qualified third on 0. Spark, who came third in Melbourne, is on 15. So Spark is on the leaderboard, the closest competitor to Vipermon. So he'll be looking to maybe pick up the pieces this afternoon and try and get a good points haul. We've also got Firestrike in 4th, who will be looking to make his way back up through the field after a average qualifying.
Yeah, not quite as close as Australia was qualifying wise, but I think the race will be just as exciting. But we are missing some people that were meant to join during qualifying, but they didn't. So.
Alright, so just picking their strategies at the moment. We'll see. I think most drivers will be on mediums, but we will see if anyone's opted for something different. As we're off for the formation lap here.
Is anybody on softs? No, every single driver's on the mediums here, so shouldn't be any blockbuster strategy going on here. It's just what we're seeing is what we're getting. It's just going to be a pure 12 laps of racing, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the battle resume between Vipermon and Melbourne Mac. Obviously, Vipermon drove an absolutely perfect race last time out, apart from some minor issues, but he did go from last back up into first. Melbourne Mac looked race pace looked extremely strong as well, but didn't get the result he was hoping for on that occasion. So the AlphaTauri is in 3rd and 4th. Maybe a bit of teamwork going on there to try and take down 1 and 2 here. But the hot favourites and Firestrike and Cozzy made contact on the formation lap. The two red hot favourites, Melbourne Mac and Vipermon, we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, obviously I think Vipermon will be quite a patient driver. We saw it in Australia. He loves to just play the time game. He effectively just tries to play a game of chess on the racetrack, and it makes a very interesting watch. He does the occasional dummy, saves his battery. It makes it so you never know what's going to happen next, and it makes it quite an exciting prospect. And then obviously we have Mr. Sparks and Not Kizzy behind them, who will be looking to get involved. Maybe even the other Williams of Phoenix will be trying to get involved, so it should be interesting as we see the two leaders now going to try line up on the grid. So yeah, let's get ready for lights out.
And most drivers will get points today if you stay careful and avoid any incident. You should be getting a good result, as most drivers have messed up their parking, except for Melbourne Mac, so he'll have the advantage off the start here. And we should be getting underway very shortly here for the sprint race. And on come the lights here for the second round of Div 2. And we are underway once we get moving. There we go. Melbourne Mac gets a great start and followed closely by Kizzy, who goes straight into second place, having a look down the inside as the AlphaTauri nearly runs back into the back of him, and they seem to get through turn 1 all right there, as the Alfa Romeo's moved up a couple places as well, and Melbourne Mac has had a perfect getaway there with Kizzy behind, and Vipermon's dropped all the way down to 4th now, with the Aston Martin of Milan right behind him, and a very clean start there for Div 2, which is unusual, but very good to see, Lindsay.
Yeah, I happen to agree there. There was a bit of a side-by-side moment at the back, and there was nearly contact, but they all avoided each other. Great first lap as we see Cozzy all the way up the back there, looking to make a move for P10. As he goes for it, and he hits the back of the Haas, but he doesn't quite spin him round, but it was a bit aggressive, and I assume he'll be a bit more patient next time.
And Zonix making a move on the Aston Martin of Milan, and he gets it done into the hairpin. Great move there from the Haas driver. And the Aston Martin will be looking to come back at him. He is right on his tail. And going into the chicane, he's right wheel to wheel with him, Milan. Who's going to get ahead here? He's going to brake later, and he gets in front. Beautiful move. Can he keep it on the track? Yes, he can. But Zonix is now coming back in him as well. Down the main straight. This is a fantastic battle between these two. And Zonix now gets back ahead. Does he? No. Late braking from Milan stays ahead. Zonix still trying to hang it out around the outside. Who's got it? It looks like Milan, but no, great run from Zonix now, and he's back wheel to wheel. And who's going to get it here? It's still up for grabs. Great move, Zonix back ahead of Milan. Fantastic racing here on lap 2. Unbelievable, they're still going at it. And Milan now gets back past. Zonix is still there, hanging it round. Milan stays ahead, and this battle has gone for a whole lap almost now. Milan just edges ahead. And Zonix has to stay behind for the moment. Lindsay, unbelievable stuff. And he might be having another go.
Yeah, is this seriously Div 2 that we're watching after last week? Amazing racing, though. I hope we see more of it. I'm all for it. Zonix goes for a switchback, and now down the back straight. He's already used a lot of battery, though, so will Zonix have the battery to strike back? Will he go for it into Wall of Champions? He's got the slipstream. He's gaining. Under the Pirelli banner we go. He's not quite close enough, but I think he'll have a go into turn 1.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Zonix and Milan keeping it very clean. There's a few penalties already for Beast and Phoenix. And Milan has just pulled away at this moment, but they've dropped a bit of a gap, and Melbourne Max pulled away from the pack with a 2-second lead on Kizzy, and his teammate Sparks just behind. There might be a bit of a swap there to see if Sparks has the pace to try and chase Melbourne Mac down, as Zonix is still right on Milan's hammer here. Two very evenly matched drivers here. As you can see, Zonix trying everything to get past, and at one moment we thought Zonix was through, then Milan was back through. It was nuts, and I think Beast has had a spin. Yep, he has, and I'm not sure if that was contact there. Might have been with PS Bomber, who's a bit slow, but that's unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo driver there.
Yeah, and Mr. Sparks also moved back up into P2.
Zonix thought about another go to the hairpin. He just taps the back of the Aston Martin there, who broke quite early, and we'll see if, I don't think any damage was caused there for Zonix, so he should be alright to keep going, as Vipermon is now also catching up to the AlphaTauris. Could be a bit of a 3-car battle here. And a great exit from Vipermon. Kizzy has the DRS, but will it be enough to save him? They're going to go wheel to wheel into turn 1. Is Vipermon going to brake late? Oh, he just sticks behind him for the moment. And that's good patient driving there from Vipermon. And he's losing time to Melbourne Mac, but he's trying to make up for lost time here by getting back past those AlphaTauris, who are defending quite nicely here.
Yeah, obviously Vipermon displayed so much patience last week, so I'm sure he has it in him, and I think he also knows it's only a sprint, and he still has the whole entire, 29 lap feature race to make the moves he needs to make.
Yep, so got the DRS open once again, but Kizzy also has the DRS, so can't get through on that occasion, and he does exceed track limits and get a penalty there, so he's going to have to make up even more time now, as Spark seems to be pulling away from Kizzy, who's didn't have the greatest hairpin there, and Vipermon's now caught right back up to him here.
Ooh, Zonix and Milan are going to go back at it.
Here we go, down the back straight. Zonix will have the DRS. Does he have enough pace here? He's not using the overtake at the moment, and good defending from Milan. They break very early there to avoid, and Milan gets a penalty there as well. Almost all drivers now have a 3-second penalty. And as I noted before, this is a track where that can happen, and Zonix just stays behind for the moment.
Yeah, because he's just picked up a 5-second for speeding in the pit lane. But yeah, the way it happened down the back straight there was Milan just got very, very loose on the exit of the hairpin, so we might see it again. And so I think this is the battle to watch on track. They're still so close, and they're displaying very nice racecraft.
Yep, Zonix 2/10 back here, all over the back of Milan. They both have even penalties now, so all to play for 5th place on track here. And Zonix now, he has made a couple moves into the hairpin. Is he going to repeat it here? He's right on the back. Is he going to have a go? No. Milan defends the inside. And Vipermon gets past Kizzy, I believe, yes. And he moves up into 3rd place. That's a crucial move to get done there. And he just needs to get past Sparks now. He's just up ahead. And he has 7 laps to do it.
Yeah, amazing move by Vipermon there, just crucial, especially since it brings him closer to Melbourne Mac for the feature. But he does have that penalty, so even if he does get Mr. Spark, I don't think he'll breach the 3 seconds, but I think the most crucial part is obviously into the feature race. Your penalties get removed, and you get to go again with no gap to the driver in front, and you just get to scrap at it. So the gap by the end of the race doesn't matter. If he can get to P2, he will still be alongside him into turn 1.
Yep, and there has been a yellow in Sector 1, so not too sure what happened there.
Noah in the Alpine dropped down to P10. I assume he spun.
Yep, so Zonix still pretty close to Milan here, and he gets quite close on this part of the lap. And we'll see what time he can make up here in the Haas as he looks to improve his position.
I think the time gains at the hairpin, it looks like Milan, he brakes really like mid-corner at the hairpin. It's messed up Zonix a few times, but when he's far back, it allows him to get a good switchback, and as you can see here, he gets very, very close. He's a lot faster through the hairpin.
And it just went a little bit wide there, Milan, to the corner, which gives Zonix a little bit of an opportunity to come back as Beast gets yet another 3-second penalty, and Zonix tried to go around the outside there, but was cut off and gets a great exit out of that corner. Now can he get past Milan on the straight with the DRS? It's going to be close here between these two as they make their way down to turn 1. It's wheel to wheel, and Milan just cuts him off there, and Zonix wisely pulls out to avoid any incident. And yeah,
this is phenomenal racing, obviously. A complete revision from what we saw last week, and it's great to see. Obviously, the penalties got given out, and it's just shown that, you know, they know that it can't be messed around with, and they have to race cleanly, and it's certainly seemed to have fixed up the racecraft a bit, and it's what we love to see here.
Yep, so a 7-second gap behind to Haroldinho from these two, so they know that they're safe in these positions, and they are point-scoring positions, so there's not really too much aggression. It's hard and fair racing between these two as Firestrike and Phoenix have a little bit of a battle. It's going to be a 3-car battle here with Noah Fowler getting past as well. And now he's going to have a go at Firestrike around the outside at the hairpin. Is he going to make it stick? Just keeps it in the track and hits the wall. And now Phoenix is coming back as well. 3 cars on the straight here. What's going to happen down to the chicane with Phoenix just behind Noah trying to get through, and he does get through. Now to try and get past Firestrike. They're wheel to wheel to the chicane. Great view for Phoenix here. Sitting behind both of them, but Noah gets through. Great move there to gain 2 places after his spin before. So fantastic racing there, and Phoenix just has to sit behind for the moment.
Yeah, great little 3-car battle here. This is an entertaining little watch. Obviously, Noah was a bit further up, so maybe he just has a little bit more outlying pace, and he's just going to pull away now as Phoenix picks up a 3-second. That's equaling him out with Firestrike. But he's going to go for a move down the inside. It's very aggressive. They make a little bit of contact, but it was all clean and fair, just a bit of hard racing, and it was a very audacious dive bomb, but he's got it done, and it was a brilliant move.
Yeah, very smooth. Firestrike, momentum was disrupted there, so he's dropped back a little bit, and they've spread out a little bit as Vipermon got past Sparks. I didn't manage to catch that overtake, but now he's got 4 laps to try and pull out a 3-second gap, but he needs to get Sparks out of his DRS first. And Zonix and Milan still going at it, but Zonix does have the extra 3 seconds as you can see on the penalties board there. And he's just going to stick behind Milan for the moment. And we'll see if he can find the pace to get past.
Ooh, Zonix just had a big snap there on the exit. Nearly lost it. That would have been battle over, done and dusted, at least until the feature race. But they're going to continue to fight on, and Zonix will just at least try pressure him into maybe getting another penalty.
Yep, so we look back up front here. It's a little bit quiet towards the end of this sprint race, as the main thing is Vipermon trying to get outright second in the for the race here. And he does get out of the 1 second range, so can he start to pull away is the big question. And speaking of penalties, Noah will go up to 7th with Haroldinho's 6 second penalty if he can stay in that range as well. As we look back to the main battle on track, which remains Zonix and Milan.
Yeah, all sprint race long, and I assume it'll follow into the feature too.
And Sparks has picked up a penalty as well, so Vipermon is outright second, and now Milan has 6 seconds, so now we're back on between these two. They're even Stevens again here, with both with 6 second penalties and 2 laps to go.
Yeah, so this will be an interesting battle to the end. Maybe Zonix, now seeing he has the penalty, going to push a little bit more, make sure he gets that position on track, because I think maybe he was just playing a bit passive, not going for the move, not pushing his pace, because he knew he wasn't going to get the position. But now it's on like Donkey Kong, and Zonix will need to push if he wants the position.
Yeah, he's just dropped a little bit though on this lap, back down to 8th, 10th, but he's going to use the DRS. He just does have a little bit of energy left, but so does Milan. So he's going to need to find or force Milan into a mistake to try and make his way through here. And Melbourne Mac still leads the race by 4 seconds. We have a look out front. We haven't given him enough love so far in this sprint race, but it's just been a perfect drive.
Milan hit the wall out of the hairpin. That'll cost him dearly. Has he got damage?
Has he got damage? I don't see any. But
somehow Zonix still didn't catch up after Milan had a big hit with the wall. That could have been race over if it was simulation damages. He's also had a shocking run out of the World Champions, and now Zonix is right there with the DRS. He's opened up the rear wing and he's going to try force it inside. He has to deactivate the DRS because he didn't want to spin when he had to cut back so aggressively. Milan nearly forcing him into the wall there as he's all over the back of Milan, but Milan's just forced an error there, and now Zonix is starting to drop back a little bit again, and it'll be rinse and repeat for the end of the lap, much like the last.
Very strong defense from Milan there. He's really getting the elbows out late in this sprint race. That 5th place could be crucial to starting the feature race, and really, really good, impressive from the Aston Martin driver there. And Zonix is still coming at him though, and he's closer than he's been on the last few laps and coming towards the hairpin. Is he going to brake late, make a move? We're in the second last lap here, so we'll see what he can do.
And he's gone for the switchback.
Seen it opening. Oh, there's a bit of contact. Somehow avoids spinning out. And that is not ideal for Zonix, but he's not out of it just yet. And very interesting.
The DRS range has been broken though, so that could be costly, and I think that'll secure Milan the P5 on the grid. But yeah, that was a bit of a controversial bit of contact there. As I said it earlier, he has a little bit of a break mid-apex at the hairpin, and it meant Zonix keeps catching up, but he went for the switchback there. But then because Milan hits the brakes mid-corner, it kind of cut him back into Zonix, and then they made contact. But you can see Zonix is just pushing. He's within 5 tenths already. Yeah,
impressive stuff here. Zonix really pushing hard here. They're going to have one more lap after this one to try and make something happen, as Melbourne Mac has is coming towards the final straight here to bring home the sprint race win. And Zonix and Milan getting very close here as they go wheel to wheel up towards the hairpin. Oh, that's a big incident! And Zonix has spun Milan. In the meantime, Melbourne Mac comes up towards the last corner. We're going to have to look away from that for the moment as Melbourne Mac comes home to take a resounding win in the sprint race. And Kizzy gets past Spark as well. What's happened to the AlphaTauri? I think you might have damage. Zonix and Milan are still in 5th and 6th, but Haroldinho is right on Milan's back here. And Spark has 10 seconds, so he's going to drop places as well. What has happened in the last 2 corners of this sprint? Haroldinho, will he be able to chase down Milan? He will, because of the extra 3-second penalty. He just got into that corner, and now Haroldinho has come out of nowhere and snatched it off Milan. And Noah goes up to 6th position. This is unbelievable stuff. The order has just flipped into the last 2 corners.
Yeah, so Zonix moves up to P4, Mr. Spark gets to P5, and then there was the incident, and Noah gets P6, and then there was the incident with Milan and Zonix, and they made contact. It looked like Milan kind of just turned him left into the wall a little bit when they were side by side, so maybe a little bit of poor racecraft there will probably be sorted out in the main race. I assume that'll be an incident that the stewards will have to review after the feature race. Potential penalties being handed out, but what a phenomenal last lap there. I assume Mr. Spark was side by side with his teammate in the Wall of Champions, and he got a penalty from maybe being forced off when they were side by side through the Wall of Champions. That's the only situation I can think of where that happens, where he just randomly gets a 10-second.
The Alpha Tauri did drop late into that. Zonix somehow comes out on top and gets into 4th. But I think on first look that incident might have been Milan's fault. Just didn't give him the space he deserved there after 12 laps of really good racing. Unfortunate to see an incident come out of it. But don't worry, there is 35 more laps to come. And we will see some interesting, hopefully, resumption of battle here. And we'll see if Melbourne Mac can continue his dominance, or will Vipermon be a challenge, as he did managed to recover up into 2nd place there. Yeah, it was a good sprint race there. It looks like Div 2's a little bit reformed, only 1 incident. It was just a battle, and it happens sometimes, and I think it's great to see that the Div 2 guys are already showing improvements, and we should see how they evolve over the season. It'll be an interesting watch. Yeah, Zonix not happy with the incident there with Milan there, and rightfully so, to be fair. Yeah, it was a bit interesting. It looked like they were side by side, and Milan just kind of swerved left and just tried to put him in the wall. I thought Milan DNF'd, honestly. I thought I saw the tyre come off. But yeah, definitely an incident that will be looked at, but in the wise words of Charles Leclerc, it was nothing, it was just an incident. So, we'll move on. Yeah, this race, well, we got a nice little taster of what's to come as we'll get the formation lap underway. And Melbourne Mac just looks absolutely dominant today. It's beautiful to see. Yeah, but obviously the penalties are reset, and we're going to go again to 5 red lights. We have another formation lap. But Vipermon now in P2 and will potentially be able to bring down the reign of Melbourne Mac's sprint race. But I think it was interesting to see that I didn't really see the gap stretch after Vipermon got into P2, so I think they're quite similar pace. Yep, so Melbourne Mac in the lead of the race. Vipermon will be starting 2nd. Kizzy is in 3rd, which I believe was his qualifying position. So the top 3 are in their quality positions. Zonix moved up into 4th. Sparks lost a place into 5th, but he was in 2nd for a long period of that sprint. Noah's moved up to 6th. Haroldinho, I think, might have been 7th. Milan has moved down to 8th. And Phoenix, Firestrike, and Bomber, and then Cozzy and Beast. You want to know what's interesting here? The strategy is hards to soft. Is that what all the drivers are on, are they? They all on hards? No, there's Phoenix on mediums, and everyone else on hards. Yeah, but the strategy graphic showed up on my screen, and apparently it's a very, very long hard stint, so tyre wear management will be crucial, and then they're going to go on to softs. And they burn out kind of quickly, but it will be interesting to see. You don't really, unless there's a late safety car, see any softs come into play throughout a race on F1 22. It's always just mediums to hards or hards to mediums. So it'll be exciting to see those softs finally get used. I think because the mediums were used in the sprint, none of them have any fresh mediums left. Yeah, that'd probably be it. Except for Phoenix, who must have chosen to have 2 medium sets, which is why he has the medium. So maybe he has the superior strategy for the race here, as Melbourne Mac messes up his parking this time. So Vipermon nails it. So we're in the reverse situation now. And Melbourne Mac is now going to have to get a good launch, as Vipermon's going to be right up alongside him into turn 1.
Yeah.
And the lights are going to come on here for the Canadian Grand Prix, this feature race. And they are out and we are underway. Here we go. Vipermon gets a better start, but Melbourne Mac still is able to get ahead, and Not Kizzy again goes straight into second place. Poor start from Vipermon, and there's a spin from a Williams and the Alpine as well. Cutting the track is the Aston Martin, and Zonix just couldn't quite get past. And Haroldinho's down into 10th as well. Cozzy and Mr. Spark has gotten past Zonix, going wheel to wheel, cuts the track a little bit. Zonix is still right there. There's a double DNF as well. In the background, there's a spin as well. Oh, just gets out of the way. Safety car. Incident for lost his wing was Milan, but he's up into 4th position. Firestrike and Beast both out early in the race. Kizzy's dropped down to 8th, and Noah in 9th, and Phoenix in 10th. And Cozzy stays about the same in 11th.
I can't even process what happened there. So I saw the Alfa Romeo make contact with Cozzy, and then Cozzy kind of bounced into an Alpine, but the Alpine didn't get affected by it. And then I saw Mr. Firestrike go straight at the second chicane, and then I saw the DNF from Beast, which must have happened first, but the thing at the bottom said it was second. And then I also saw a couple of spins at the back of the start, and then after the DNF from Firestrike, there was more carbon fiber flying in the air, so I assume there will be people pitting for damage, including the Aston Martin.
Into the pits, and so does Zonix and Bomber, and I believe that's it. So after seeing 12 beautiful laps of great racing in the sprint, instantly, as soon as we get to the feature race, all hell breaks loose, and we're back to normal proceedings, as it turns out.
Yeah, I imagine it'll probably be a bit cleaner from here on out. But yeah, just usual Div 2 proceedings, carrying along. They were like, yeah, we're gonna make them think that we've improved in the sprint race, but we just really haven't.
Yeah, well, that has ruined the strategy, because the hard tyres are meant to go a long time, and now they're forced to go on the softs earlier. I think that's what they're on. If we have a look at Zonix here, no, on mediums. I'm not sure if they're actually. We'll have a look if they're new or used. They're new. That's good.
Oh, so they all did it. The strategy was actually just hards to softs. They did have a new set of mediums.
I'm surprised most drivers opted for that strategy, because I don't think that's what I'd go for.
It was the
race.
2 recommended strategies. So the recommended strategy was a hard soft or a hard soft soft.
Yeah, so maybe the degradation isn't as bad as expected, or something like that, if that's what the suggested strategy is.
Yeah, as we see the Aston Martin safety car in the lead, obviously Canada being one of the fewer tracks that the Aston Martin safety car gets deployed, as we see the drivers weaving down the straight, because not a lot of tyre temp after the start. You already don't have a lot from the formation lap, and then let alone an instant safety car, it'll be a bit costly for those hard runners, as those tyres don't heat up.
But yeah, Vipermon will be very happy for that safety car as well, because both his starts to the races have been very poor. He's been overtaken twice, and so I think a safety car restart might suit him better. And Kizzy has dropped down to 5th after going straight up into 2nd off the start, so he must have been in an incident as well. So there was a lot of spot fires going on there, and we weren't able to catch all of it, but I'm sure we'll be able to break it down in the post-race.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there'll probably be a lap 1 report there. As I do just need to say that Churchy and DXMond, they did try to join, but like they DM'd me like just in the middle of the sprint race, and I didn't see it. So we could have had 2 more here, but yeah, it's my bad.
That's all good. We've got 11 drivers left here, and slightly better outcome to lap 1 of Australia last week, where there was 3 DNFs, and I think over 10 cars had to pit. safety car in this lap, so we will get underway again, and this is going to be intriguing. Vipermon has definitely been the underdog so far today, but can he get past Melbourne Mac, who has had to drive very well to remain in the position he's been in the whole time, and now he's back under pressure, so let's see if he can handle it and continue to hang on to the lead here.
Yeah.
As we...
It'll be interesting here as Melbourne Mac now becomes the de facto safety car, as he'll now back the pack up to try get the best restart he can possibly get.
And Vipermon gets right up to the back of him there. Cozzy gets a time penalty, and Melbourne Mac is away and makes some good ground on Vipermon there. And we'll see if there's anything going on towards the back as Noah's trying to make a move. And he hits the Ferrari, and there's a massive crash.
Oh, no.
And there's about 6 cars that have gone into each other. And Bomber is out, and a lot of front wings gone there. No safety car, it looks like. Noah doesn't have his wing after absolutely launching himself into Kizzy, I believe it was. And now he's going to try and get back past the Alpine, and he does. But that was a very stupid incident there. And I believe the Ferrari of Haroldinho has wing damage as well, as Zonix comes alongside and should get through, and does. And the Aston Martin of Milan is right on the tail of Haroldinho as well. So a bit more damage there for, I believe, Phoenix and Haroldinho and Noah. So I believe they'll have to pit as Haroldinho manages to hang on to 5th place there, Lindsay. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, I honestly have no clue. It's a bit craziness.
Yeah, so just managed to catch that incident there. That was major, as Haroldinho is now right back alongside Milan here. Great exit out of the corner. The Aston Martin and the Ferrari. Is he going to give him room down the inside? No, Haroldinho just sticks behind. And Phoenix and Noah have to pit for new tyres, so that's unfortunate for them. There's Haroldinho, I think, still has wing damage, but he's kept going to try and see out those hard tyres.
As Vipermon catching Melbourne Mac here, he's got some very nice pace on him. Obviously, Melbourne Mac pulled out a bit of a gap, but now Vipermon going purple, so he will be starting to close the gap for the fight for the win, but he doesn't want to lose that DRS, but it looks like he's about to.
Yep, so coming up towards the hairpin. I'm not sure if DRS is enabled yet or not, so we will see shortly. And all drivers will be scoring points, so you'd hope that makes them a little bit more conservative in battle here towards throughout the race with 30 laps to go. Obviously, they will go by very quickly with the lap time around this track, as Haroldinho and Milan going back at it again. Milan he's been the centre of attention so far in this race, really attracting all the battles, and he comes into the pits, and Haroldinho just scrapes the wall. He looks alright though, and I'm not sure why Milan's coming in. Maybe he did have front wing damage in the end, but we will have a look, and yep, gets a new front wing. So Cozzy the only one with a penalty so far.
Yeah, I assume there'll be more to come from most drivers, even Melbourne Mac, but we don't even know if he got a warning in that first race. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, as Vipermon going even quicker than he was on the last lap. So he's gaining and gaining. He is determined to get 2 wins in a row. He wants to go for the Max Verstappen-esque domination here, go for the most wins in a row in a season.
Yep, so Melbourne Mac holding Vipermon at bay at the moment, and Milan comes out into 8th place with Phoenix relatively close behind. Kizzy is trying to make his way back up the field as well, closing in on Haroldinho, and Zonix just hanging back onto the back of Sparks as well. So he's actually driven a pretty impressive race along with the sprint. And Vipermon getting really close to Melbourne Mac, actually.
Oh, he runs deep, though, and that's going to cost him dearly. He won't be within DRS range anymore, so and now he has it all to do.
He does have the DRS open, though, which does bring him back into range. So, but he has run out of energy, it looks like. So he's wasted a fair bit trying to catch up to Melbourne Mac, and Melbourne Mac has plenty of energy left. So it looks like Vipermon has to push really hard just to stay with Melbourne Mac at the moment, so I think he does have the superior pace.
the roles are reversed from last week now. Vipermon being the battery burner and the impatient one, and then Melbourne Mac playing the long game, knowing, hey, I have the pace, I can back off and still be just as fast.
Yeah, he's right on top here, Melbourne Mac. A few mind games are going on early on as Vipermon tries to do something here as Noah sets the fastest lap on his new mediums. And he's 7/10 back here at the moment, Vipermon, and he's going to try and see what he can do down the back straight. And I don't think he has enough at the moment as Kizzy has really closed up on Haroldinho.
He's actually gone purple to the middle sector to catch up, so I can imagine this will be quite a good fight. Obviously, the AlphaTauri had the outlying pace as, Haroldinho with a random sudden jank to the left to get to the
Phoenix
racing line.
with a retirement as well.
And then the rear end.
Safety car.
Safety car. That's unfortunate time for Kizzy there as he had a massive run on Haroldinho, actually rear-ended him, but it was just a light tap and then he was about to get a good run, but battle to be resumed.
Yep, so Phoenix dropped it in Sector 2. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but now there's only 9 drivers left, so it's really valuable to stay in the race here and get those points, and a few drivers will be pretty happy with the situation at the moment.
Yeah. Obviously, you won't want to retire in pit lane now. Obviously, even if you have wing damage, you're down on your luck, you're still getting points, so just stay in the race. Yeah. And so it'll be a good little fight here, I think, between Vipermon. This actually lets him get battery back, so this will allow him to push once again and fight for that win. And I imagine once they're locked into battle, I don't think Melbourne Mac will really pull away because Vipermon can just use attacking to hold them up as Milan gets a drive-through.
Yep, so Vipermon, he probably needs to get past Melbourne Mac early on if he wants to have any chance of winning this race, as Melbourne Mac just is really on top, or wait for a mistake, which has been a rarity today. So it'll be interesting to see what tactics Vipermon deploys to try and get past, if he can, the Red Bull.
Yeah, I think Vipermon will just do a little bit of dummy work. Maybe now go back to his original plan of playing the patience game, and maybe that's the play against Melbourne Mac here. Play the strategy, play the safe game. Don't burn your battery. It might build a gap, but there's most likely to be at least one more safety car. And then that's when you go full beans, or if he gets past now, plays aggressive and then plays the patient defense, just does a Sergio Perez in Abu Dhabi ideal here, and just win that way. Just play the defense game, hold him up, maybe even bring third into the equation, much like last week. Saw a big 3-car fight. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it again.
Yeah, well, Sparks is still in the hunt. He came third last week, so it'd be a great result for him if he can get past one or maybe both of Melbourne Mac and Vipermon, maybe pick up the pieces of a battle. And we're on lap 9 here with 4 DNFs already. So we will see what happens here, and no matter what, it's going to be big points for the drivers that are able to finish. And Zonix is one of those drivers who's been looking really good today, but unfortunately has picked up a penalty, and those mediums will not last him too much longer, so he will have to pit soon as well. All the top 3 still on hards, and I think they will try and hang it out for as long as possible with the safety cars. Obviously they can extend a bit more as well.
Yeah, obviously it does help strategy too. So yeah, it'll be interesting, because I think now the softs become ever more viable as you can stretch those hards longer, and then later on in the race pop on some fresh softs and put on the burners. We saw it last week with the late safety car in Div 1, and I think we'll see it again.
Yep, so just looking at, I believe Firestrike caused the incident with Beast, it seems like. I think there was a bit of a problem with, there was an illegal overtake on the restart, and Firestrike was trying to give the position back and slowed down a bit too much. I think maybe a bit of a brake check on the straight, potentially. Oh no, brake too late. So Firestrike must have hit someone in the end.
Yeah, probably.
So safety car will be in this lap, and Melbourne Mac, who has been dominant all throughout this race. This is probably one of the most dominant performances we've ever seen in ORL. And not to jinx him, but he's got 25 more laps to show us what he's got today.
Hey, all I'm saying is at least he doesn't have at least he's not at Spa with a Williams behind him, so...
Yeah. Well, there is a Williams behind him, just not a certain one. As Melbourne Mac will get us underway momentarily, and he'll be looking to get another good getaway, as he did on the previous launch. He really has not put a single foot wrong today, similar to Vipermon last week, who's getting a bit of his own medicine this week with a bit of domination from a different driver, as Vipermon right up to the back of Melbourne Mac. Oh, he faked a getaway there, and Spark is already alongside and past, but that'll be an illegal overtake surely. Yep, and Haroldinho and Zonix, and there's a yellow flag, and big accident. Milan is out, and wheel to wheel is Noah and Kizzy and Cozzy, and I'm not sure what Milan did there, but he must have rammed into the back of someone going into turn one there, and Zonix has lost his front wing, and that is another massive incident on the restart.
Oh no, this is just carbon copies of last week, but just with less numbers. Oh no, Cozzy's been rear-ended by Kizzy, and absolute mess of a restart. Now everyone who finishes will be getting quite solid points, and they'll be quite happy with that.
Another DNF, so this is absolutely nuts what's going on at the moment here. 8 drivers remain. It's almost like Survivor. Someone gets voted out every lap, with Vipermon just hanging back from Melbourne Mac, who's pulled a bit of a gap, and Spark is actually not that far behind as well. And all the drivers are now quite close together, and Zonix is going to have to pit as well. He can't go on with that front wing, I don't think. And I'm not sure if anyone else will pit as well. Zonix, I'm not sure what tyres he's going to have. Kizzy pitting. And, yep, so they'll be 7th and 8th, which is last in this race. And Zonix will be a bit annoyed because he's driven a beautiful race. And this is fantastic. Well, not fantastic. It's pretty average driving, but it's interesting to watch.
After such a good sprint, it's been the length of the sprint now. Well, after this lap is done, and once again, Melbourne Mac would have won the sprint if it was that. But yeah, I think the driving just randomly has dropped off a cliff, and I don't understand what happened. Everyone was so patient in the sprint, when normally the sprint is where people are aggressive because it's a sprint. But then when it's the longer feature race, where it's a marathon, not a sprint, that's when everybody's been impatient.
Yeah, so it's interesting, what's happened. I'm not sure. Well, at the moment, the top 5 all haven't pitted, and Noah's on old mediums, so he'll have to pit pretty soon as well. But Zonix can get to the end on those hards if he stretches them, so he's not actually in the worst position here. With Vipermon's actually closed up quite a lot to Melbourne Mac as well, as DRS gets enabled, so we could see a battle between first and second here.
Yeah, this should be quite interesting now. DRS enabled, only a 6/10 gap. It's the similar sort of gaps we saw with Zonix and Milan in the sprint, so, you know, the DRS might not just be enough, but then again, we don't know these two drivers' wings, and we know their battery situation. It's the exact same nearly. I think Vipermon has just a tiny bit more. I think it's a 3% margin, so it'll be an interesting thing to see, as Melbourne Mac had a good little chicane there and got a little bit of a better exit, but it's all to do with the hairpin on if Vipermon can go for a move and then plan his car like a tree and not move out of the Melbourne Mac's way.
Yeah, so Vipermon has dropped a little bit of time going to the hairpin. It looks like Melbourne Mac is just that bit faster through the corners, and Vipermon still trying to hang on to the back. He's got the DRS open now, so he will be gaining through the back straight and now onto the main straight through that chicane. He does alright, but Melbourne Mac just pulling away at each corner, as Noah's getting close to Cozzy as well, who is out of energy and should be able to make this pass pretty easily with the DRS. He's pressing on the overtake, and Cozzy leaving a little bit room. No, he cuts him off around the outside. tries to send it down the inside, can't quite, and Cozzy's defended that pretty well, and should be able to hang on for a little bit, but Noah is catching at a rapid rate at the moment.
And I think something to note here is with the battle for the lead, it's about to become a three-way battle for the lead, much like Australia as Sparks 7 tenths away from Vipermon, and Vipermon 6.5 tenths away from Melbourne Mac.
Yeah. So hopefully we will see those cars come together for a battle, and Vipermon still just waiting. The pit stops are going to be very interesting as well, because they're all on the same age tyres, the top three, with no penalties. So they've been extremely disciplined in the race so far. Have the top three. I can't say the same for the others, as Noah does get past Cozzy at the hairpin, so he moves up into 5th place. No penalties for him either. And Vipermon does pick up a penalty, so as soon as I say they've been disciplined, that is going to cost him. But he is quite close to Melbourne Mac, closer than he's been for a little bit. And we'll see what he can do. And Spark is getting close as well, so there could be a good little battle coming up here. But for the moment, they're just maintaining the gap.
Yeah, obviously a game of chess here. And right now, Melbourne Mac has got Vipermon in virtual mate. Check. Right now, it looks like Vipermon doesn't really have any moves he could do for the moment. So, obviously, we still have
closer, though.
20 laps. As Melbourne Mac gets a penalty, so now it's Spark in the lead.
So Spark needs to keep it careful at the moment. He is now in the net lead of the race, and Noah picks up a penalty as well. So Spark's now the only driver left without a penalty. Can he go 20 laps without a penalty? We will see as they make their way down the back straight, with Vipermon hanging on to DRS, and Spark just needs to hang on to the DRS. If he can do it for 20 laps, we will see. And we're almost halfway through, and the race has just changed with the 2 leaders picking up a penalty.
Yeah, so obviously Spark just needs to stay within 3 seconds and not get a 3-second. I think it's doable, but will he be sensible?
Yep, so Zonix is also catching Kizzy at a pretty fast rate as well, so that's going to be interesting, as Vipermon is now only 3 tenths behind Melbourne Mac, who has been a little bit rattled by that 3-second penalty. He drove so well in the sprint, and now the pressure is on him for the first time. But Spark as well coming at Vipermon. He senses an opportunity that this could be his race all of a sudden, but he does go a little bit wide. Can he keep it in the track? He is going to have to be so careful to make sure he doesn't get a penalty as well, as Kizzy picks one up as well. And now Vipermon still sticking to the back of Melbourne Mac, who is going to want to try and pull away from Spark in particular, who is now looking the most dangerous out here.
Yeah, definitely impressive driving from Spark to catch the fastest cars on track, being the leaders, and then go to potentially pass one, but also he has the provisional lead right now. He's just needs to not drop 2 seconds to Melbourne Mac within the span of 18 laps, and he should win this Grand Prix, given he doesn't get a penalty.
In the meantime, Zonix did get past Kizzy for 7th place, so he's actually in a pretty strong position as well. Hopefully, if all things going well, he won't have to pit again, but Kizzy is going to try and come back at Zonix down into the chicane, but doesn't quite get it right there, and Zonix looks to be hanging on there. Sparks now looks to have more pace than Vipermon. All of a sudden, he's been rejuvenated by this opportunity. He's on the podium as it stands, but he wants more than that. He got 3rd last week, and he's looking for a little bit more this time around, and he does pretty well there, but Vipermon still holding that gap. And it's going to be a very interesting game of strategy here to see what Sparks can do to manufacture a move, or maybe pressure Vipermon into a mistake, as he still hangs on to the back of Melbourne Mac.
Yeah, obviously just holding the DRS that's carrying him through for Mr. Sparks to not quite be able to overtake him in a straight line. I think Vipermon has lower wings.
Oh, there's the penalty.
There's the penalty for Sparks. So now every driver on the grid has a penalty, so now it's a complete all-out brawl on track. So, Mr. Sparks knows he needs to get a move on here, but the battery difference, I think, is significant. So Mr. Sparks and Melbourne Mac on 30 and 40%, and then Vipermon having to push so much harder on 20% battery, and he drops down to 5% down the straight sometimes.
So yeah, Spark has lost the upper hand now on the situation, so he'll be a bit disappointed with that. As Zonix also gets past Cozzy's in the pits at the moment, replacing his front wing, and his Kizzy is as well. So 2 cars pitting now, and Spark will obviously be disappointed with that corner cutting penalty, but he did get it a lot later, so potentially if more penalties are picked up, it's going to be more likely to be Melbourne Mac and Vipermon that get them. So he's not. He shouldn't lose all hope just yet of winning this race, because there is still plenty of time left and anything can happen with safety cars, etc.
Yeah, it's about another sprint and a half here. So the drivers have plenty of time, as they need to come into the pits at about lap 20, 25-ish, maybe even lap 30, depending on how far they think they can get those hards before pitting onto the mediums, but I think it'll probably be about lap 25 that they come into the box, and that's when overcuts and undercuts can come into play normally on the F1 game here on F1 22. The way it's the nature of the tyre warm-up, it means the overcut is so much more powerful, so I think we may see an overcut from Vipermon with how similar the pace is, and he'll just try pick up the lead that way. It's going to be a strategical game here through the pit stop period in about 6 laps time.
I think the advantage is for Melbourne Mac as well. He will have much better tyres than Vipermon and Spark, who have been using a lot of effort to try and hang on to the back.
Melbourne Mac picks up another 3 seconds.
Picks up another penalty, and now he is the only one in the top 3 with an extra penalty. So this has put a lot more pressure on him now. So hopefully he can keep it cool and calm behind the wheel there, and hope that Vipermon and Spark behind him pick up more penalties.
Yeah, definitely, and he'll be praying for his life here, as if the battle for the win on track will still be on, but the battle for the win virtually will be between P2 and P3, at least momentarily, before the other drivers might potentially pick up penalties. But there'll be, at least for the moment, no looks of an after race report from them, because all these 3 drivers have not put a foot wrong, so it is definitely just what happens inside of the game for the moment that can decide the win. So Mr. Spark needing to get a move on his Vipermon, as you said, Spark's picked up the penalty the latest, and now he's in the position once again that he was in before, but he's not as close as he was before. He's dropped outside Vipermon's DRS, so...
Yeah, and you can tell how similar these 2 are as drivers. They're picking up the penalties at all the same times as well, so they're making the same mistakes, and just losing a little bit of Sparks has dropped out of DRS there, but he only picked up his penalty quite recently, so he probably won't even be on 2 warnings yet, so he'll have plenty of time to just nurse his car over the line and try and keep it within the lines. As Vipermon is now chasing after Melbourne Mac, he has to get a bit more aggressive once again. And he's gone into the pits quite early here, Vipermon. Interesting. So I think he might be going onto the mediums. We'll see what he comes out on here. And this is will this spark a pit stop from Melbourne Mac to try and cover him off? Or will Melbourne Mac try and go a bit longer as he does go onto the mediums? We will see. A very interesting strategy decision here from Vipermon.
Yeah, I think boxing onto the sauce would definitely be faster, but maybe Vipermon feeling like a 4 or 5 lap undercut may be the play to just stick and try have the better pace on fresh tyres and get the lead that way.
Noah have both pitted as well.
So maybe that's the strategy call that they all decided to go with instead, but I think Melbourne Mac will stretch for the softs, and so will Sparks, because I think it's actually going to be the fastest strategy.
So all eyes on Melbourne Mac and Sparks now to see what they will do. Will Melbourne Mac try and protect his lead here and pit, or will Sparks try and hang it out a little bit longer? We'll see what's going to happen here as Melbourne Mac comes down the back straight. What's the decision he's going to make? It's going to be crucial towards the rest of the race here. What's he going to do? He's going to go... No, he's going to stay out. What's Sparks going to do? He's going to pit. So I think whatever Melbourne Mac did, Sparks was going to do the opposite there, and he's going to try and overcut Vipermon. It's going to be very close on exit here as Melbourne Mac stays out. If Sparks can get this overcut done, this will open up a lot of opportunities for him and a big chance of winning the race as Vipermon's going down the main straight. Just as Sparks is coming out of the pits and the pit limiters come off, Vipermon looks to be ahead, but it's going to be close. And Vipermon is ahead and comfortably. I think he's gained a bit of time there as well. So must have had a very good outlap there from the Williams driver.
And I think something crucial to note here is Vipermon only 15 seconds to Melbourne Mac, and a pit stop is around 18 seconds.
Yeah, so Melbourne Mac is going to be looking, well, he might lose track position, but obviously thinks that he has the pace to get back through. So we could see a bit of on-track battling, which is very exciting to see as Vipermon pulls out 2.8 seconds on Spark, and he's rapid on those medium tyres. You can see why he wanted to go on them instead of the softs, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Vipermon and Spark's going to be very fast as Melbourne Mac's still stretching another lap. So I think about 2 more laps before he decides it's time to come in for the softs potentially.
Yeah, so have the tables turned here a little bit? Has Vipermon now got the edge? Or a safety car would help Melbourne Mac as well, big time. But it doesn't look likely at the moment with not many battles going on. As I say that, Zonix is making waves up the field at the moment, chasing Haroldinho. He's got some serious pace following his incident and his pit stop onto the hards, and he won't get past on this occasion, but really impressive stuff from him as well.
Yeah, as Vipermon setting the fastest lap there at 13.2, so better than some people's qualifying time, so he is pushing as Sparks picks up now his 3 seconds.
There it is.
Melbourne Mac lost it, he's in the wall!
Oh,
he's lost his wing!
That is a big, big incident there. And that is the first mistake he's made all day, Melbourne Mac.
And it's going to cost him.
Wow. Unbelievable stuff there. And he has got damage, not severe damage, but probably enough that he's going to have to come into the pits. And he is going to be fuming at that because he has been leading every single lap of the sprint and the race, and now finds himself in the wall and having to come into the pits and get a new front wing, and he's going to lose so much time to Vipermon and Sparks, and that is just devastating. The race he's driven today has been so good, Lindsay.
Yeah, he's been flawless all the time. He is going to come onto the softs and replace his wings, so now he has it all to do, but I honestly don't see it happening. I don't think he'll catch up.
Will he lose track position to Haroldinho and Zonix? It's going to be close. It's going to be neck and neck, and they're having a battle as well. So this is going to be interesting. Melbourne Mac, he's going to lose 4th and 3rd position as well. So he's going to come out in 5th place, just ahead of Noah. So he's got all the work to do on those fresh softs. And Vipermon has found himself in the box seat once again, and Spark more than 3 seconds behind him. They do have the same amount of penalties, but if he is to get another one, he's still safe from that.
Yeah. So now Melbourne Mac has it all to do, so unless there's another safety car, I really don't think he has anything to do.
Yeah, so it's 2 weeks in a row now that Melbourne Mac has lost a lot of places in a race. So he was probably looking for a win today and last week, definitely looking for a podium finish. So this will be frustrating for him, but there is still time, 11 laps, to try and make a difference here. Maybe a safety car could help him late, but we'll see what happens as Zonix has dropped away from Haroldinho back 2 seconds. And as his tyres start to wear away, and Melbourne Mac is already making up for lost time on him there.
Yeah, so Melbourne Mac will definitely have the pace on these drivers. And he'll just go for moves, make sure he at least gets P3, I'd assume. But he does have quite the margin to gap here. He has 10 laps left and has it all to do.
So there should be a pretty easy pass on Zonix coming up here. He's got to be careful though. Vipermon picks up a penalty, but he does have the 3 second gap on Sparks. We'll see what happens there. Is Zonix going to let Melbourne Mac through? I think he's just sticking to the inside. He's not going to fight that one off. He knows Melbourne Mac has the pace there, and he's going to now go after Haroldinho, and then he's going to have 10 more seconds to gain on Sparks and Vipermon if he can do it. It's going to be a tough ask for him, but he's not going to stop trying at all.
Yeah, so it will be interesting to see how this race will now pan out and what will happen.
So Vipermon is now extended to 5 seconds. He's entered another world ever since he's gone on those medium tyres. Obviously the hards weren't working as well for him, but he's got some serious pace. Maybe Sparks just trying to be a bit more cautious with the track limits, but Vipermon is now just taking advantage of the situation as Haroldinho picks up another penalty. That brings him to 9 seconds as Melbourne Mac is right on the back of him as well, setting constant purple sectors and should be able to make this pass pretty easily as Haroldinho is on pretty worn tyres too. And will he get it done down here with the DRS? I don't think so. And he'll probably be looking to make it up to the hairpin here. And a bit of a snap there, but should be alright. And Zonix and Cozzy both pick up penalties in tandem there. Melbourne Mac thought about a dive, but he's going to stick behind and try and use the DRS advantage. And you can see how much more pace he has, nearly bumping into the back of Haroldinho there.
Yeah, trying to push him around the circuit.
Yeah, he's driven a quiet race, Haroldinho, but he's back up into 3rd position. And Melbourne Mac not quite getting past there, maybe waiting for the main straight. And we'll see if he can finally get past here. And he'll want to get rid of him pretty quickly, but I don't think he quite even has the pace to do it on that occasion either. So, and there's the 3-second penalty for Sparks, which evens him up.
Yeah, so Melbourne Mac needs to get past Haroldinho. He'll never catch those leaders with 10 seconds to bridge. It just won't happen with 7-ish laps to go, 8-ish laps. He has a little dummy look there on Haroldinho, and he gets a beautiful switchback. Oh, they make contact. Melbourne Mac nearly picked up damage there. He's going to open up the DRS, I assure you. He'll probably go for it into this corner. He dummies to the right, but he doesn't commit to the move. So I think he's going to try to get the better exit. Yeah, he's going to go for it into the hairpin.
Yep, so here we go. Should be able to get it done now. He comes alongside Haroldinho. How hard's he going to defend? Late braking, and he's made that magnificently. Haroldinho is going to try and look back up at the inside, but I don't think he's any match for Melbourne Mac there, who's also got the DRS to pull away. And now he has 7 laps to make up 11 seconds, so it's not going to be easy, but he's going to try and catch Sparks, who's slowing up.
He doesn't need to make 11 seconds. He needs to make... as long as he doesn't pick up another penalty, he should only need to make up 8. I still don't think it'll happen, but he could do it.
Yeah, Sparks is definitely what Melbourne Mac will be aiming to get with his pace dropping off a bit later on in this race. So he's got the penalty advantage on him as well. And in the meantime, Cozzy's been overtaken by the AlphaTauri of Kizzy as he had to come into the pits.
Ooh, so Melbourne Mac just nearly driving into the wall, maybe falling asleep at the wheel here.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of empty track in front of him for the moment. And Vipermon out in front, looking as solid as ever. And he has barely made a mistake today. And even though he looked in trouble, all it took was one mistake from Melbourne Mac, and now Vipermon is looking like the man to beat again.
Yeah, obviously, he saw the mistake, he saw the opportunity with the undercut, and it looks like the softer the compound, the faster Vipermon is race pace wise, and it looks like he's going to comfortably drift home to a win here with 6 laps to go in the Grand Prix. It'll be interesting to see if Melbourne Mac can get Mr. Spark here. I don't think he will, but it'll be close. Melbourne Mac nearly spun into the wall again.
Yeah, he's pushing very hard in Melbourne Mac, so I'm not surprised to see some near misses from him. He's not going to be as careful as he was in the lead of the race. And he's made up a little bit of that gap. It's down to 8 seconds, but Sparks has dropped back 8 seconds to Vipermon as well, so a really resounding drive from Vipermon. He's really pulling away, as you can see.
Really showing he had the pace to unleash, maybe just not, his setup not working with the hard tyres. I think lower downforce with hard tyres never really is enjoyable to drive, and now he's got a little bit softer, fresher tyres. The car maybe turning a little bit more for him, and he feels a little bit more comfortable.
As we look down the order, Haroldinho hanging on to 4th place with Zonix, who was challenging, has dropped back quite significantly. As we'll have a look at the tyre situation. Zonix on those 19-lap-old hards that are still just hanging on for him, and Kizzy's on 22-lap-old hards, so they'll be falling away quite quickly, and we'll see if Cozzy can make up any ground on him there. All drivers, once again, will score points, so regardless of where you finish, I think most drivers will be pretty happy with what they'll get today for their team.
Yeah, and I think the team principals will be pretty happy, except for Mercedes, Aston Martin, and Alfa Romeo.
And McLaren, who didn't have either driver show up today.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but it happens.
Yep, so Vipemon crossing the line and just looking so good, putting on an absolute masterclass for us today. And doesn't look like there'll be too much action for the remainder of the race, with most cars pretty separated out on track, as you can see. Vipemon will be close to lapping Cozzy by the end of this race as well. So that just shows the impressive pace he's got today.
Yeah, just running laps around the circuit now until the end, so yeah, he's got this.
And a bit of disappointment for not Kizzy as well, having started in 3rd, who had a run into 2nd place, but the incident off the start cost him dearly. So he could have been in for a shot for the win today, but circumstances have taken that away from him, unfortunately. And Melbourne Mac is still gaining on Spark, so down to 6 seconds. He needs 3 more to get 2nd place back here from the AlphaTauri. And we'll see if in the last 3 laps he can make up that ground as well.
Yeah. I think the message to take away here is that Vipemon can perform under the pressure, and he definitely can bring it out when he needs to, and he's proved that today with holding the lead here and not faltering ever since. One driver around him made a mistake, he locked in and made sure that he got it.
Yeah, he's got a good combination. He's got great pace, and he's got really good smarts as well, which is what most drivers don't have both. There's a lot of drivers that are really fast, but can make a lot of mistakes. But Vipemon seems to be holding it together really well. He's got good consistency, and he's really smart as well. So really impressive stuff from him there. Melbourne Mac, Sparks gets another penalty.
Melbourne Mac only needs to get a 2nd.
Melbourne Mac is now right into this situation.
No, sorry, he is P2.
So Melbourne Mac is in P2 now, and Spark has lost a bit of control with those tyres falling away. So Melbourne Mac will get a bit of a consolation of P2 here, which obviously he won't be pumped about, but it's good enough he'll take the 18 points, but Vipemon has a big advantage in the championship now. I think it'll be, if Sparks finishes 3rd, it'll be a 20-point lead for Vipemon in the championship.
Yeah, I think after this we could potentially get Melbourne Mac into the party and maybe just ask him what happened.
Yep, so 2 laps to go now, as Cozzy goes up to 15 seconds of time penalties. And is this a potential precursor to what we might see in Div 1 with penalties? I think there'll be a little bit less, a little bit more responsible driving, but it could potentially be penalties that decide positions, as we've seen many times before.
Yeah, I think we definitely saw it last week with Div 1 in Australia. And then now again, proving costly penalties, getting Melbourne back to P2, but obviously he made that mistake and he'll be upset, but he'll move on to next week, which is Baku?
Ooh, Baku, that's fun.
No, not really. Given that Rush was an absolute nightmare, I can't imagine what ORL will be like.
I'm a fan of Baku. I think that'll be an interesting
I mean,
watch.
Rhino's gonna dominate Div 1.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Well, unless he makes a mistake like he did in OPSL. I highly doubt it. He is very, very quick there, like inhumanly quick. So yeah, it'll be I guess an interesting watch, but I think it'll just be a lot of carnage. But as Vipermon is gonna come onto the final lap, I think it's best that we go on board with him. And he's had a solid race here. He messed up in qualifying and qualified P4, lost some positions in the sprint, but then gained them back over time. And he's coming into the second sector. He drove a pretty flawless sprint, getting the overtakes, and then just moving up at the start of the race, not having the pace he would have wanted in the feature, but then just holding himself together, making sure he didn't lose the position to Mr. Spark, getting as minimal penalties as possible, as he's now going to come to Sector 3, and Melbourne Mac then, so Vipermon went for the undercut, Melbourne Mac buckled under the pressure, Vipermon inherited the lead, and he has just been absolutely flawless since, the fastest on track by a mile, the mediums treating him so well, whatever setup it is, it loves those mediums, and he's drove a pretty flawless race, and he's going to come around the final two corners, and he's going to have the run to the line as Haroldinho gets out of the way. He's in the wall, though. But Vipermon's going to win the Div 2 sprint race and win the feature race here in Canada on a sprint weekend. What a drive.
And Spark's now going to cross the line for P2 as Cozzy did DNF, so he's going to lose those 4 points. Melbourne Mac comes into second place with those penalties. Spark into third. A race to be proud of from the top three, but Melbourne Mac, unfortunately, with one little mistake at the end. Haroldinho into fourth. Zonix will cross the line fifth. And Noah and Kizzy will be the last two to cross the line as Noah comes across now. And Vipermon will be a back-to-back winner to start the Div 2 season. Fantastic work from him this afternoon, and he's put an absolute masterclass. And he is a serious threat in this current division. So a lot of pressure on the rest of the drivers. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board as Kizzy will be our final driver to cross the line. Cozzy DNF with 1 lap to go, but he will get the points because he completed over 90% of the race. Kizzy in 7th. The winner, though, Vipermon, fantastic stuff.
Yeah, do you want to invite Melbourne Mac to our party? Maybe we can get him to walk through what happened.
Yeah, you can do that if you want.
I don't have him added on PSN.
Okay. And we see Vipermon here now. Great effort from him in the end there. And he'll take home the chocolates, the 25 points. And Melbourne Mac finishes second and Sparks in third. Penalties galore today, but you can see the final results there. Vipermon with 33 points, Melbourne Mac 26, Sparks 19, and the rest there. And we've got Melbourne Mac here with us, the second place finisher. You drove such a good race today, but just fell away halfway through.
Yeah, it was definitely the case. Struggled a bit to the end of the hard sprint right at the end. I saw that Vipermon had came in. I just thought I had to try speed it up a bit, but didn't keep it as cautious as I would have liked to, so I ended up spinning at the end and then losing a bunch of time. But happy to still get second. It is what it is. We all make mistakes, and I will go for next week.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
thank you for that. Fantastic drive. Unfortunately, didn't get the full allotment of points that you would have wanted today, but I think showed you're a very serious threat for the rest of the season.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us with for Div 2 today. We will see you in about an hour's time for another Div 1 race, and we'll see how that happens. Thanks for joining me again, Lindsay. I hope to do it
Yeah,
again
no
next week.
problem. Yeah.
All right, see you soon.